After the collapse of the Berlin Wall and the Soviet Union at the end of the 20th century, Marxism was widely regarded as a failed ideology. In a 1985 speech, President Ronald Reagan, the 40th US president, quoting novelist Jean Don Passos, said, "Not only has Marxism failed to promote human freedom, it has failed to produce food." Towards the end of the 20th century, many communist regimes either collapsed, such as the Soviet Union, or adapted. Although most of Marx's theories on capitalism are now antiquated, the contradictions he exposed between the freedom of capitalist economies and the severe inequalities they produce remain relevant. Kitching said, "So long as we have capitalism, so long will human beings have to live with and cope with the contradictions he identified." Wrote the Communist Manifesto, was talked about in 11 movies, 7 documentaries, 2 art films, and 2 comedies, articulated and polished the labor theory of value, decreasing rates of profit, and increasing concentration of wealth, is none other than our favorite communist uncle, Karl Heinrich Marx. Let's jump into the context. Who is Karl Marx? Born in Czech Prussia, now known as Germany, Marx was a German economist and a political scientist who lived from 1818 to 1883. He studied philosophy at the universities in Bonn and Berlin, earning his doctorate in Jena at the age of 23. In Paris, 1843, Marx cemented his lifelong friendship with Friedrich Engels, our favorite communist uncle's best friend, who financially supported him in most of his adult lifetime and co-authored the Communist Manifesto. Yes, that's right, kids. Get yourself a best friend like Uncle Friedrich. In 1849, Marx moved to London, where he continued to study and write, drawing heavily on works by David Ricardo and Adam Smith. Marx died in London in 1883 in somewhat impoverished surroundings. Understanding Karl Marx through economics. Trained originally as a philosopher, Marx was a self-taught economist who managed to make fundamental contributions to the economics of business cycles and to the field of economic history. Economics as a discipline and profession has developed quite separately from Marx. Modern economics analysis sees society in relation to an idealized market economy where all activity is oriented around the exchange. And B, capitalism. Karl Marx looked at capitalism from a more pessimistic and revolutionary viewpoint. Where Adam Smith saw harmony and growth, Marx saw instability, struggle, and decline. Marx believed that once the capitalist, the guy with the money and the organizational skills to build a factory, has set up the means of production, all values is created by the labor involved in producing whatever is being produced. In Marx's view, presented in his 1867 book, Das Kapital, a capitalist's profits comes from exploiting labor, that is, from underpaying workers for the value that they are actually creating. For this reason, Marx couldn't abide the notion for a profit-oriented organization. 4. Major contributions to economics. Marx believed that in a capitalist system, society would inevitably divide themselves into 2 classes, the business owners and the workers. The workers would produce the material goods and conduct all the labor, while the owners would reap all the financial and social benefits. In many ways, Marx argues against profit maximization and the capitalist economic system. He believed in many socialist ideas and principles that seek to return the benefits and fruits of labor to the individual. So, I'm just about to explain Marxism to you people. What is Marxism? Well, in order to understand Marxism, one must first understand what capitalism is. Capitalism is an economic system in which the means of production are privately owned and goods and services are produced for profit in a free market. A more dummy definition for someone like me who didn't understand capitalism before this, we're not going to say that. Capitalism is an economic system for dealing with money and wealth. In a free market, people are free to use and sell their private property without government interference. Marxism refers to the political and economic theories of Karl Marx, again 1818 to 1883, and Friedrich Engels, 1820 to 1895. Marx's theories revolved around the human history. He believed that history was largely determined by the struggle and between the ruling classes and the oppressed classes, which had conflicting interests. Marx believed that if workers could overthrow capitalism, they would be able to build a socialist society. This society will still contain social classes, but for the first time in human history, the ruling classes would be the majority of the population. In addition, the Marxian ideas served to revolutionize the fields of political philosophy and sociology, asserting that history is nothing more than economics in action. Mr. David, give your input on this. And Marx argued that all cultural, political, and social institutions are largely shaped by their underlying economic realities. As technological progress results in new modes of production, the social superstructure also changes to adjust to the new economic relationships among the productive social classes. Lastly, let's talk about all the hard work that Marx did all this while. How did it influence us when he died? Or you can talk about the legacy or moving forward. Well, Karl Marx remains a strong social voice in society today. Many believe that his style of communist socialism would greatly benefit capitalist countries. However, his ideas are greatly controversial, and his critics often point out the loss of freedoms and overall oppression that can be seen in countries that adopted Marxist-style policies. However, controversial his ideas were, Marx remains a prominent and influential figure in today's modern-day political and economic landscape. Also, did you know that Marx used to write love poems and novels for his wife, Jenny? That was unpublished during his lifetime, and that he never attended his father's funeral, but he himself had 11 people attending his funeral. And he kept getting banned from countries because of all the things he did. As sad as it sounds, he died as a stateless person. His life was a daring yet adventurous one indeed. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe like Mr. David says, and enjoy learning economics.